BTS is back. Feel the attack.
Welcome to BTS Lover Channel. Here, every small step taken by the BTS members always holds a big story. Every simple moment can turn into something unforgettable. And today, we bring you a story that began as something ordinary, but slowly transformed into a moment that thousands of eyes could not look away from. At first, nothing felt special. A shopping mall stood as it always did, bright lights, shiny floors, the sound of footsteps echoing softly, and casual conversations blending into the background. Some people walked by carrying shopping bags. Others paused in front of store windows, laughing quietly or checking their phones. That day was supposed to unfold normally, calm, without surprises. But in the middle of that ordinary crowd, something slowly changed. Not because of loud noises, not because of an announcement, and not because of chaos. It was simply a presence, silent, almost unnoticed, yet somehow different. A few visitors began glancing at one another. Some looked twice, others slowed their steps. Soft whispers emerged, faint, like waves that had not yet taken shape. "He looks like," someone murmured quietly. Another person shook their head, unsure of what they had just seen. In a place like this, anyone could resemble anyone. There was no reason to be suspicious. Not yet. That figure walked calmly, unassuming, not seeking attention. Simple clothing, a cap slightly shading the face, measured steps. Like any other visitor just enjoying their time. No exaggerated gestures, no obvious bodyguards. And perhaps that was exactly what made the presence feel so strange to calm in a public space, filled with watchful eyes. Minutes passed, and then something happened. One phone was raised, then another. Someone pretended to send a message. Someone else acted as if they were taking photos of a storefront. While the camera slowly shifted toward the same point, the atmosphere began to change. The calm that once felt comfortable turned into a tension that hung in the air. And that was when whispers turned into certainty. "That's Jimin." The name spread faster than footsteps. From one mouth to another, from one screen to the next, like a small spark touching fuel. The situation that had been under control began to stir. It started calm, then turned chaotic. Jimin BTS, who had initially appeared as just another face in the mall, slowly became the center of attention. Some fans stopped walking altogether. Others covered their mouths in shock. A few instinctively whispered his name softly, as if afraid their certainty would shatter if spoken too loudly. But in a place like this, secrets never last long. Within moments, a small circle began to form. Not because Jimin asked for it, not because he stopped moving, but because people stopped for him. Other footsteps slowed, lines of sight shifted. The mall, once filled with scattered activity, now seemed to revolve around a single axis. Jimin kept walking. His face remained calm, but his eyes reflected awareness. He knew. He had to know. Yet there was no panic in his movements. No exaggerated attempt to escape. Just a quiet composure that somehow made many others fall silent as well. More fans began to gather. Some had just found out through messages. Others confirmed it with their own eyes. In a short time, the crowd grew. Footsteps became denser. Personal space narrowed. What stood out was not just the crowd, but the reactions within it. Some people cried without making a sound. Some trembled while holding back smiles. Others stood frozen, unable to believe that the person they had only seen on screens was now standing just a few meters away. Jimin did not shout. He did not wave excessively, but every small movement, a slight turn of the head, a gentle nod, a respectful bow felt deeply meaningful. In the middle of the forming chaos, his demeanor became an anchor of calm. Mall security began to move. They tried to manage pathways, create space, and ensure the situation did not worsen. But the crowd had already taken shape. Not a crowd driven by aggression, but a surge of emotion that could not be held back. In that moment, many people realized this was not just an encounter in a shopping mall. It was proof of the immense presence of Park Jimin, without a stage, without music, without an official announcement. Simply by being there, an ordinary public space transformed into a place filled with emotional electricity. Some fans eventually chose to step back, giving him space. Others stayed at a distance, just enough to confirm that what they were seeing was real. Jimin was then guided out of the area calmly. There was no major pushing, no uncontrolled shouting, just eyes following him as his figure slowly disappeared from view. And when it was over, the mall did not immediately return to normal. People kept talking about it. Short videos began to circulate. Blurry photos yet priceless were saved into phone galleries. Small smiles lingered on the faces of those who had witnessed it. That day began calmly, like any other day. But it ended as a story that would be remembered for a long time. Because for fans, seeing Jimin even without words, even from a distance, is never something trivial. It is a moment that will be retold, replayed, and treasured as a precious memory. Long after Jimin had left the area, the echo of his presence still lingered. It was as if the air itself refused to move on so quickly. People stood in small clusters, replaying the moment again and again, each person adding their own detail, their own emotion, their own version of what they had just witnessed. Some spoke excitedly, others more softly, as if afraid that speaking too loudly would break the fragile magic of the memory. On social media, the ripple effect grew stronger by the minute. Short clips appeared almost instantly, shaky and imperfect, yet charged with emotion. Captions were filled with disbelief. "I was just shopping, and then this happened." Comments flooded in from fans who wished they had been there, who replayed the videos over and over, searching for every glimpse, every angle, every proof that the moment was real. What made this incident so powerful was not chaos itself, but contrast. Jimin had not arrived with fanfare. There were no banners, no schedules, no official notice. He came as a person, not as a performer, and perhaps that was why the reaction felt so raw. Fans were not responding to a stage persona, but to the sudden closeness of someone who usually exists behind screens, lights, and distance. Witnesses later recalled how Jimin repeatedly checked his surroundings, not with fear, but with concern, aware of the growing crowd and the people around him. His calm seemed deliberate, almost protective, as if he understood that his own energy would shape the energy of everyone else. And it did. Despite the swelling numbers, the atmosphere never fully tipped into disorder. For many fans, that brief encounter became something deeply personal. Some said it reminded them why they fell in love with BTS in the first place. Not just because of music or performance, but because of the humanity that still shines through, even in the most unexpected places. Seeing Jimin navigate a normal space with such grace made the distance between idol and fan feel, for a moment, smaller. As evening approached and the mall slowly returned to its routine rhythm, one thing was clear. This was no longer just a passing rumor or a fleeting sighting. It had become a shared memory, a collective moment held by strangers who, for a short time, were connected by the same heartbeat of excitement and awe. And somewhere beyond the cameras and conversations, Jimin continued on with his day quietly, steadily leaving behind a story that would travel far beyond the walls of that mall. A story that began in calm silence, rose into overwhelming attention, and settled into something lasting. Because moments like this are rare, and when they happen, they remind the world that sometimes it only takes one presence to turn an ordinary day into an unforgettable chapter.